What would have happened if Adolf Hitler had never come to power? What would have been the fate of Germany, Europe, and the entire world? Today we are going to try to imagine an alternative history in which the Third Reich did not emerge and World War II may never have happened. To understand how the world could have developed without Hitler, we need to go back to 1919, when Germany was defeated in World War I. The Treaty of Versailles imposed huge reparations and restrictions on the country, which caused an economic crisis and social instability. Hitler took advantage of these conditions to come to power. But what if he had not become the leader of Germany? Perhaps he would not have been noticed, would not have entered politics, or would have died in the beer putsch of 1923. This could have opened the way for other political scenarios, such as the continuation of the Weimar Republic's weak rule or the rise of another radical leader. In that case, Germany could have followed a different path. Perhaps the country would have been ruled by a more moderate government, such as the Social Democrats or the Conservatives, who would have tried to stabilize the situation without aggressive revanchism. It was also possible that a military junta would come to power, which could implement reforms without violating international agreements. But there was another threat: the communists. Without Hitler, the Communist Party of Germany had a better chance of success, which could have led to the establishment of a proletarian dictatorship with the support of the USSR. This could have changed the balance of power in Europe, leading to an even greater confrontation between the Soviet Union and Western democracies. Perhaps, instead of World War II, we would have had an early Cold War, in which battles between Soviet and Western forces would have taken place on the territory of Germany. Without Hitler, Europe might have avoided World War II in its traditional form. But tensions between the countries would still have been high. An armed conflict between the USSR and the West in the 1930s was a possible outcome, as Stalin also had ambitions for Europe. Also, Japan could still have begun expansion in Asia, which would have led to a conflict with the United States. This means that the war would have taken place, but without the German factor, it would have had a different scale and course. For example, Great Britain and France could have remained more focused on their colonies and the Asian region, rather than preparing for a confrontation with Germany. The United States could have intervened in the conflict not by attacking Pearl Harbor, but by strengthening Japan or the Soviet Union. If Germany had not followed the path of Nazism, it would probably have developed more economically stable and integrated into the world economy more quickly. A large number of German scientists who were forced to flee from the Nazis could have stayed in their homeland and contributed to its development. This might have allowed Europe to overtake the United States and the Soviet Union in many technological fields. Nuclear and missile technologies could have developed differently, as many scientists were forced to flee from the Nazis, which significantly affected the scientific progress of the United States and the USSR. For example, Wernher von Braun could have worked on space research back in the 1930s instead of building rockets for Hitler. This could have accelerated the colonization of space, making Europe the center of world science. If World War II had not happened, the United States might not have been able to consolidate its global dominance. The European empires might have lasted longer, and the USSR would not have gained such a rapid rise in influence after the war. The Cold War might not have started at all, or it might have broken out in a different form. Also, the issue of colonialism could have remained open. Decolonization after World War II was largely due to the weakening of European powers. Without the war, empires such as the British or French could have existed for several more decades, which would have changed the political map of the world. Africa, Asia, and Latin America would have gained independence later or through other conflicts. A world without Hitler would probably have been different, but not necessarily better or more peaceful. Other political forces could have led to conflicts, albeit with different players. History is a complex system, and changing one element can lead to unpredictable consequences. What do you think about this alternative scenario? Write in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you liked it.